So hi, for those of you who I haven't met yet, which actually is a good number of you in the audience, so I'm really excited to be here. Again, my name is Beth Smits. I'm Vice President for Services Operations here at Best Buy, which essentially means all the processes, tools, labor models, fleet, I don't know, what do I do, Mara? Stuff? I do a lot of stuff, geekstore.com, processes stuff, operations stuff to help services work. We are actively involved with Connected Store. Thank you, Lisa, for that. Where are you? I just saw you. There you are. Hello. Thank you for that. We have geekstore.com and the support.geekstore.com, which is a critical element for the new tech support offering. There's a lot of stuff we do. I work a lot with Maura on Geek Squad Academy, so it's pretty cool stuff. I actually love my job. I've been with Best Buy 10 years or so, give or take, and it's hard to believe I've actually crossed that decade. Now I can't actually claim to be new anymore. I tell all the new people that they should work that for as long as they possibly can, because with the frequency with which we change, I think everybody gets to say, oh no, I'm new at this. Okay, so thrilled to be here. I was asked to talk a little bit about something important or big in my own personal leadership journey. And so I'm choosing one of the most humbling experiences I've ever had in my life to share with you as a group. And I hope that you take something away from it. So, first of all, anybody familiar with TED, TED.com? See the show of hands. It's technology, education, entertainment and design, ideas we're sharing. Highly recommend you play around on TED.com, literally spelled out TED.com. Really cool content, really cool videos. TED is an amazing set of conferences, etc. So there's now a new forum called TED Women. And I want to say thanks to one of my partners in the diversity mentoring program. Her name's ELO, and she sent me a link to Sheryl Sandberg's speech that she did last December at TED Women. She's the COO of Facebook. She did about a 15-minute talk about women in leadership and why we're still challenged to see women in senior leadership roles. And here was the quote that stood out for me that I wanted to share with you. Women systematically underestimate their own abilities. Do we? Yeah, I know. It's like, no way, I don't do that. I'm smart, I'm good at what I do. I don't underestimate myself. Sure I do. I do it all the time. So here's the lead into my very humbling experience. This is a little over 5 years ago. And I was watching all the people around me. Like, okay, this is what's in my head, right? So just bear with me. Watching all the people around me get promoted. I was a senior director at the time, and I did have aspirations to be an officer at Best Buy. I said, I can do this. I'm smart. I know what's going on. I get my job. I'm skilled. I'm good at what I do. I deliver outcomes. What's getting in the way? So I sat down for my annual review with Dave Morrish, who at the time was Senior VP in merchandising. He had computing, digital imaging, a handful of other categories. And he was my boss at the time. I said, what's the deal? He said, come on, all these people around me, they're getting promoted. I'm smart. I'm good at what I do. And he said, yeah, no. You're just not ready yet. All right, so that's pretty humbling. I've actually told this story a lot, so it's getting easier to tell, but it's still actually hard to recognize that you think you're a lot better than you are. So hence I go back to that point of we underestimate our own abilities. I'm like, no, I don't. So here's what I thought about. Here's what he told me, and I had to take away and think about this. He said, yeah, you might think you're ready, but who else would stand up with me in front of the board of directors, hypothetically speaking, and say, yes, Beth Smits deserves to be an officer. Who else can actually represent what you do, what you deliver, how good you are, how smart you are, how effective you are, how much of an expert you are at your job? And I went, yeah, that's a great point. How do I actually show up? How do I show up in the room? How do I show up in meetings? How do I show up when I lead projects? How do I show up in business reviews? So let me tell you how, after much thinking about this and some retrospective, I had to look in the mirror and say, yeah, I don't show up like I should, like a leader should. My tendency, my style was to kind of sit in the room and listen, watch the body language of the people around me, hear what the conversation was, kind of in the back of my mind, form my point of view, think a little bit about what I think might be right or wrong, but I am sure not going to interrupt anybody. Let me tell you what, everybody talks in meetings like that. Everybody has a point of view. Everybody has something to say. I'm not going to jump in. What if I'm wrong? What if I don't quite have it right? What if somebody challenges me? So I'll just sit back. I'm smart. I know what I'm doing. I'll just sit back. I'll let it play out. And maybe afterwards I'll make a comment. Maybe I'll pull somebody aside and say, hey, did you think about this? Well, guess what? That's not showing up. Right? That's not being present. That's not bringing your whole self into the conversation and demonstrating that you really are a good leader. Okay, I have to admit, super uncomfortable for me. Right? In my head, that's not what a polite person does. They don't yell out their point of view. They don't pound their fist on the table. Well, yeah, they don't, right? And we all know the people who do that. Right? We've all been in those meetings. And we all go, oh, really? Seriously. We do that. But at the same time, you all are experts at what you do. You wouldn't be in this room otherwise. You're smart. You know what you're talking about. You have a right to a point of view. Convince yourself of that. I promise you do. Right? So that took a lot of practice. I enrolled a lot of people that helped me be different in the room. Sometimes it was my coach. Sometimes it was my boss. Sometimes it was a peer. Sometimes it was somebody from HR. I actually actively sought out feedback after every meeting. There was a stretch where the HR people were kind of sick of me. Oh, all right, how'd that go? How was I in the room? Because sometimes you just can't be a good judge of yourself when that's going on. So I practiced, and I practiced. I actually practiced interrupting people. Ooh, that was scary for me. I don't interrupt people. I wait my turn. Yeah, that's a problem. Sometimes you won't. If you wait your turn, you're not going to get a turn. You guys, I'm kind of being a little facetious, but not really, because I wanted to share with you that actually in the room, being present, I did underestimate my own abilities. I didn't give myself the credit of being a leader and being good at what I do and being smart and having a reason to speak up. And once I started practicing that, and once I started experimenting and doing it in small situations where it was safe and it was my peer group and they knew what I was trying to work on, then I felt a little bit more comfortable doing it in meetings with broader groups and in meetings with senior vice presidents and in meetings with the board of directors audit committee, which is one of the scariest places to be. Let me just tell you what. I mean, I never have to do that again. And you know what happened? Everybody else actually said, yeah, she really does know what's going on. And yeah, we really do value her point of view. And 6 months later, I did get promoted. So this is not about getting promoted to officer. This is about a journey of leadership development, of something that was very subtle, but something that I needed somebody else to point out to me to say, you do have value. You do need to bring your point of view in the room. You should not underestimate yourself. And how many of us actually do that very subtly, very quietly, very unconsciously, not realizing that we're doing it day in and day out. So what was actually kind of interesting about this is the woman who's my partner in the diversity mentoring program, when she sent me this link, she said, what'd you think about what the Facebook COO said? I said, I think she's spot on. Let me tell you about the 17 examples where I forgot to show up in the room, where I didn't take a seat at the table, where I didn't share a point of view. So that's all I would offer to you is allow yourself to be confident and then express it. And you'll get feedback, and yeah, people will tell you you're wrong, or you made a mistake, or you're foolish, so what? You need to learn. Okay, so here's what I will leave you with. This is one of my favorite quotes ever. And it's a little excerpt from it. The author's name is Marianne Williamson. And here's the quote. I bet a lot of you have heard this. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine. I have that up on my bulletin board and I read it every single day, and it reminds me that I do have value, I am smart, I do know what I'm doing, and I am not going to be insecure and I'm not going to undermine myself. So that's my story for you.